Are you trying to discourage Cornel West from running?
Well, I've known Cornel for many, many years. He's a very independent-minded guy. He will do what he wants to do. I just think, again, I think Cornel or anybody else can play an important role now about raising issues that are not always discussed. But at the end of the day, I think the progressive community in general and the American people have got to make a decision as to whether we stand for democracy or authoritarianism, or whether or not we're going to represent working class families.
Senator Bernie Sanders and his former campaign co-chair, Cornel West, who is running for president in a third party, had a bit of a back and forth over how progressives should approach the 2024 presidential election. So as we know, Bernie has already endorsed incumbent Democrat Joe Biden for re-election. Despite saying a third party candidate could bring up some pretty important issues, he also doubled down that progressives should unite behind Biden in the upcoming election. Let's hear him make his case.
We have made some steps forward, but there is no question in my mind if we're going to provide allow our kids and grandchildren to live in a healthy planet, we've got a lot more to do.
Do you think there would be a robust discussion on this on the left if there were a competitive primary? Do you think there should be?
Well, what I think in this particular time, this particular moment in American history, when we're taking on somebody, the former president, who in fact does not believe in democracy, he's an authoritarian and a very, very dangerous person. I think at this moment there has got to be a unification of progressive people in general all over this country, people who are prepared to make sure that women control their own body, that we deal with climate change, that we represent the needs of the working class of this country and take on the billionaire class.
And look, I just have to comment, like the big point that Senator Sanders is making here is that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. But I would also venture to say that if President Joe Biden is a big believer and protector of our democratic process, then he would be open to a debate because other Democrats have come forward to challenge him in a primary, and the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, has decided to essentially avoid even acknowledging these individuals or holding a single debate so voters can hear them out. I think that's anti-democratic behavior. But nonetheless, what Sanders was referring to there or responding to was a very different take coming from Cornel West. So let's go to that video and then I'll go to you, Cenk. Here's Cornel West making his case a few weeks ago.
Bernard Sanders also endorsed Joe Biden. He was one of the first to endorse Joe Biden, and many would argue that he did that without leverage as well. And that was before you got on the ballot. I would hope that if you got on the ballot first, he would support you like you supporting him. But what are your thoughts on him kind of jumping out there immediately?
Yeah, I love the brother, and you even in love, people have deep disagreements about these things. But I think again, he's fearful of the neo-fascism of Trump. And he just sees that somehow Biden, see, part of the problem is that people look at Biden, they don't really want to tell the full truth. Biden is cast as being now, he's created the best economy that we can get. Workers don't have what, is this the best that we can get? You're gonna tell that lie to the people? Just for Biden to win so we can push back fascism? All that means is fascism is coming. Because if the only opposition to fascism are lies, then sooner or later fascism is gonna take over.
So we do have one more video because Bernie Sanders responded to that particular statement. I'll get to that in a moment. But Cenk, I wanted to open it up to you. What are your thoughts on this, this conflict, I guess?
Yeah, so Bernie Sanders is half right, half wrong, and he's significantly right and significantly wrong in both directions. So what do I mean by that? When he says, look, Trump would end elections, I believe that. I know that because that's what he tried to do last time. I don't think it's complicated. He did a fake elector plot. It was an outright coup. Risking that lunatic fascist coming back in is unacceptable. So when we're going to a general election, I don't think the third party candidate is helpful. And so, by the way, I'll be called an establishment shill for that. by the right wing and people on the left pretending to be on the left, but actually are right wingers, and say, oh, no, let Trump win. That'll be helpful to what? What will it be helpful to? Nothing. By the way, this poll that I'm about to tell you makes both of my points for me, which is currently right now, Biden is losing to Trump by 2 points. But when Cornel West is in the race and they do that same poll in a poll out today, then Biden's losing by 5 points with almost no chance of winning. Now, it's a long time from the election, but if the election were held today, Biden would definitely lose to Trump because of the third party candidate, okay? But that leads to my second point, where Bernie is totally wrong. We're not in the general election. We're in the primary right now. So you're saying at this particular time there shouldn't be a competitive primary because Trump might win. Well, couldn't you have said that in 2016 and 2020? Now, I know Trump has gotten worse and worse as we've gone along, but that would have eliminated you. They would have said, and they did say, oh, Bernie, this is not the right time. Let Hillary win. Let Biden win. Let some establishment goon win. You're mucking things up. They're not now, Bernie. Trump is running. They literally said that against you. So no, you should be in favor of a massive primary against Joe Biden by a strong progressive. And one of the reasons is the poll I just gave you. The brother's gonna lose. Even without a third party candidate, he's gonna lose. And so this is the time to back the worst establishment candidate that is now polling 15 points lower in different polls than he was when he won the election. And we're gonna walk into that ambush because you and Joe are friends? No, Bernie's totally wrong at this point in time.
Okay, so I gotta comment on the last thing you said, because I think that's where you and I might differ a little bit. I think that Bernie Sanders, for the first time, has experienced an executive branch that's interested in his thoughts, his opinions, and what he thinks about policy. And I think it's reflected in some of the good policies that we've seen from the Biden administration. As you and I have both agreed, the Biden administration has been a mixed bag. There have been some actions taken that we disagree with. We don't think they're strong enough or progressive enough, but there have been some actions taken that have been fantastic, including the NLRB and the makeup of the NLRB, which consists of individuals who actually take labor protection seriously. You also have Lena Khan fighting, for antitrust in the context of the FTC. FTC, yeah, she's the head of the FTC. So there's some really good appointments in that regard. You also have Biden reworking his student debt relief program, which has been fantastic. I just spoke to family members in Florida who happen to be Republican voters. They just got their student loan. Well, they just got significant relief in their federal student loans, and they're like, oh, maybe Biden, right? Do I think that Biden came up with those ideas himself? Hell no. Biden's the one who passed the bankruptcy bill. He's the one who championed it, which made it impossible for students to ever get rid of their student loan debt, even in the case of bankruptcies. I think that Bernie Sanders has had some influence over the executive branch with Joe Biden in it. So I think that might be informing some of the commentary that we're hearing from Senator Sanders. I get the frustration in regard to progressives not getting everything they want or even close to everything they want. But I would just venture to say that progressives maybe need to get their act together and have a strategy in place and actually think critically about how they move forward to accomplish the policies they purport to care about. Because right now, I see a fractured, flailing, pathetic progressive wing of the Democratic Party that is not thinking critically of how to strategically move forward. And that's the issue I have here.
But Anna, well, then you're criticizing Bernie Sanders for pathetically not having a plan.
Well, I do have criticism.
Forward.
I do have criticism of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, I think, is seen as a leader of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. He should act like one and get people together, progressive lawmakers together, to think of a plan. There is no plan. That's my problem.
There's no plan by anyone. So Bernie introduced $17 minimum wage bill. Hey, at least he's doing something, and that's way better than almost anyone else in Congress, so I give him credit for that. But we've got to do nuance here. The world is not black and white. So then what does Bernie do to pass it? Nothing. So I know he thinks he's doing things. He goes on TV and says, oh, shouldn't we do it? Shouldn't we do it is not a plan. Hey, it's really popular is not a plan. Who's not doing it? Okay, well, then you have to target the people that are not doing it. In this case, you got to go over to the House and you got to target at least 5 Republicans in swing districts, and you have to do a massive push to make them unpopular. But you're not even gonna get there, because the reality is the Democratic Party doesn't want it. And so Bernie would have to fight 8 Democratic senators that voted against $15 minimum wage earlier, but he doesn't want to fight them. Let's be honest, he doesn't want to fight them. He's never mentioned them by name. He never attacks based on name. That's the only thing that can get enough media attention to actually do something. So, and then Biden, totally asleep at the wheel. And I'm not black and white. He accomplished, and I've said this 100 times, about 15% of his agenda. 15% is a lot better than 0. It's a lot better than 100% in the wrong direction, which is what Trump and the Republicans give you. But 15% ain't nothing to write home about. And what has he done since the Republicans won the House? No, to be fair, he did that student death thing that your family members just got, and we gave him credit for that. But in terms of legislation, they've offered absolutely nothing. They're super happy to surrender. And what has he done to campaign? Nothing, nothing, totally asleep. This guy's gonna lose. Forget that he's super conservative. He's gonna lose.
So finally, Dana Bash had Bernie Sanders respond to what you heard from Cornel West in the previous video. Let's take a look at that.
My reaction is that certainly is not the best economy that we can create. That was what my speech was about yesterday. But where I disagree with my good friend Cornel West is I think in these really very difficult times where there is a real question whether democracy is going to remain in the United States of America. You know, Donald Trump is not somebody who believes in democracy, whether women are going to be able to continue to control their own bodies, whether we have social justice in America, we end bigotry. Around that, I think we have got to bring the entire progressive community to defeat Trump or whoever the Republican nominee will be, support Biden, but at the same time, which is what I did yesterday, is demand that the Democratic Party, not just Biden, have the guts to take on corporate greed and the massive levels of income and wealth inequality that we see today.
Just want to remind you all that the Democrats did nothing to codify reproductive rights when they had a super majority under the Obama administration. And I'm not really interested in hearing the excuses about the so-called blue dog Democrats, especially after the Democratic caucus fought hard to get a conservative anti-abortion Democrat reelected in Texas, and that was Henry Cuellar. So this notion about, women might lose their right to choose, that ship has sailed in much of the country already, and it happened under Biden's watch. It happened because of the lack of protections and the lack of action that was taken by the Democratic Party years ago during the Obama administration. Sorry, I had to give you that caveat because every time that gets brought up as a scaremongering tactic by Democratic lawmakers, I lose my mind. You can't fearmonger about Republicans when you guys didn't do what you needed to do to protect reproductive rights when you had the chance.
And they're not going to do it next time. Biden has promised, you know what he's promised for his next term? Nothing. He hasn't told us what he's going to do at all. Why? Partly because it's embarrassing. It's all the same stuff that he told us was the bare minimum last time that he didn't either pass or even try to pass. So he didn't do voting rights. That was supposed to be the bare minimum. Minimum wage was supposed to be the bare minimum. Paid family leave polls at 84%. That was supposed to be the bare minimum. He didn't do any of that. He's not going to do it next time. And Bernie, I love you, brother, but beseeching Biden and your fellow Democrats is never, ever going to work. You have to call them out and fight them, bring public attention to the issue where you have the American people on your side. But you're never going to do that because it makes you uncomfortable. And now all of a sudden that you're not in the race, now there shouldn't be a primary. Sorry, totally and utterly wrong.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.